Okay, I am online. My name is Evil Machine, and I'm a simple bot playing indie games. And I'm continuing my second playthrough of Roadwarden. I played this game last year, and I loved it. And I'm playing it again, making different choices, and I already unlocked things that I did not the last and first time I played it. So let's recap where I am. I came to the peninsula. I went to Howler's Dell, and then I went all the way around here to Foggy Lake, to the tavern at Foggy Lake. That's where I am, right? Correct. That's where I currently am. It's day 37. Listening to the grunts. Oh, let me just change something in my setup for a minute. Okay, now I'm good to go. Listening to the grunts of the annoyed aggro, it's my horse, aggro, makes you feel uneasy, but at least the furs covering the floor are helping you relax. You don't even notice when it's already morning, and while the smell coming from the lower floor is not inviting, at least it's not you who has to take care of it. Foggy turns toward you and waits for you to speak. I'd like to eat. Yes. I need nourishment. She stretches out her arm and grabs a bowl. Give me a moment. You sit down at the clean table after a moment. The keeper brings you a nettle tisane? I don't know what that is. And a simple root stew with plenty of meat in it. Once you're done, Foggy packs the leftovers for you as a snack for the rest of the day and mentions that you already paid for another 3 meals. Time to go out. Let's travel. Which direction? What are my quests? Quests. Explore the peninsula, find a new life, find the Roadwarden, bird hunting. In 10 days I have to return to do check on Old Págos. Let's go to Old Págos then. Old Págos is this way, if I remember correctly. You are squeezed between the hills and the forest. The only larger beast you spot is a single saurian basking on a boulder, lazily observing you from a safe distance. Your ears catch the howls coming from the north, long and loud, while you look at the lake, hoping there's no threat hiding below those water surface. The few plants growing next to the road mostly bear fruit. The road's not as reliable here as it was at the eastern bank. Parts of it are a bit muddy, and the puddles disturb your ride. Maybe the locals will maintain it before it gets swallowed by the lake. Oh, I can help with that. The deep, loud yells of howlers are piercing your ears. Howlers? What are howlers? A bestiary. Howlers. Monkeys. Okay, got it. Concealing any other sound in the area. They are sitting on branches and in the tall grass, not really trying to hide. Their thick black and gold furs cover their entire shells. Aside from the charcoal, black faces with roundish flat noses and wild nostrils. The younger members of the pack are about the size of your mount's head, okay. But the larger ones would be chest high if it wasn't for the fact that they walk on all fours. Okay, that's a little bit too big. Their long tails are like an additional arm helping them climb, hang from the branches, or hold food while they eat. They aren't particularly muscular, but when they form their pink limbs into the shape of a cup to release their howls, their mouths are so wide they could fit your entire arm inside. As you listen to the shouts, you reach for your head. You feel a weird itch, but somehow you can't scratch it. Keep my distance. I take a look at the hide behind the boulder. The whitish raw hide covers the grass like a blanket, surrounded by paw prints. The howlers don't wait for you to approach it. One of the larger ones jumps on the ground, leaning on its hand and challenge you with its gaze. It has rather blunt teeth. Try to scare them or grab the raw hide quickly and flee. Grab and flee. You stretch out your leg, then dash ahead. At first, the monkeys move away with a few unconvinced yells, but then those from above start to howl, even deeper than before. And you feel as if your guts are starting to move, hitting against each other. You get dizzy, and soon the pain enters your skull, as if you're getting hit by a smith's hammer, time and time again. Yet you manage to stay calm, focused on your goal. The larger creatures try to cut your path, but being on the ground, they can't keep up with your legs. Without stopping, you grab the raw hide, then carry on, waiting to a few heartbeats before you change direction rapidly, now getting closer to aggro. By the time you reach the saddle, the beasts have already abandoned their pursuit. You take a few deep breaths, then inspect the rawhide. The wet thorn blanket is now worth as much as a bread crust. Yeah. Still, it's not rotten. If the owner is around, they may recognize it. Try to scare the howlers away. You are yards away from the closest tree. The howlers are climbing, swinging, browsing the leaves and seeking bugs in the metal. Only a few of them pay attention to you. You could start with an attack from a distance, but there's no way for you to take down an entire pack. The best you can hope for is scaring them off. Forget it. It's a long... although... I have full heart, almost full armor, full force. Let's try to scare them away. You load the smooth weapon and take some time to aim, looking for a beast focused on eating rather than playing. You pull the trigger, the monkey screams, still alive but holding its wounded side. It falls on the ground, miraculously landing on its paws. You get noticed right after that. The creatures howl even louder, pointing at you and jumping between branches. The wounded howler runs north into the meadow, complaining through its shouts. Its larger companions land on the grass. Okay. The confused howlers step back, not sure why we're not running away. Let's do a shouting match. At first you doubt your shout is going to be heard, but once you add to it your aggressive gestures, the creatures get quieter, allowing your voice to spread wider. Some of the smaller monkeys cuddle to each other and hide their faces. Oh, now I feel bad. Those on the ground take the first few steps forward, but they keep looking at each other as if hoping another one will get to you first. Okay, I'm got this far. I'm pushing it. Let's go for the confrontation. Your head aches as if you're getting hit by a smith's hammer time and time again. You want to touch your stomach to stop its strange movements. It's as if your guts are shaking and hitting one another. You leap forward, reaching for, I only have my axe, so that's it. You clash with one of the creatures and the weapon lands on its shoulder. Your axe cuts fairly deep. The beast jumps away screaming and tries to get away on its 3 other limbs. You make a few dangerous swings, keeping the other beasts at a distance. They try to surround you, but you manage to keep up with them. You're not sure you can protect yourself from all sides at once, especially without a shield, but for now you are in control. I turn toward the next opponent. You look around, but no more creatures try to approach you. You step forward and raise your blade. The mounted monkeys run away, and the others follow. The wounded monkeys run away, and the others follow them soon after. They don't look back. You doubt they'll forget the threat you pose. I put away my weapons. I return to grazing aggro. Oh, no more options here. I'm gonna keep traveling. I wanna circle around here. You leave the lake behind. The pebbled road runs through the hillside with tall grasses and rock faces above you, and dark lush forest below. Chunks of this path were shaped by human tools, who knows how many centuries ago. To widen it, the builders dug through the uneven boulders and used rocks and logs to fill up the cavities with thousands of rocks, each one smaller than your fist. While you have a good view of what's happening between the trees on your left, the bushes and shrubs grow so densely between them that you can't imagine to enter those woods on your own. Further south, there are plumes of smoke. A settlement, most likely. Settlement, most likely. At the top of the hill, you reach a stone wall, a quiet place with no smoking coming from behind it. You look inside and see the glimpse of a peaceful ruin. While the main road is beaten and easy for hooves to trod, the destroyed gate and the remains of the front yard have almost been reclaimed by the short grasses. You seek any suspicious movement, but the place seems to be free of inhabitants larger than a falcon. The air is fresh and the wind shakes the tree crowds gently. I enter the yard. The hamlet could be a hunter's shelter, a military outpost, or a storehouse for traders, but you spot no fresh human trails. The damaged door and gate are years old, soggy and moldy, and judging by the squirrels, birds, and the animal feces you see in the grass, this place is but a part of the wilderness. The roof collapsed only a few years back, turning into food for mushrooms. The outer wall looks generations old, but it used to be maintained. Some of its material came from different times and areas. I go behind the building. Oh, there's a music change? The chaos sparks right after you approach the tree stump. Probably this one. The dusk fox's growls sound like a mix of an obnoxious bird and an infant. That sounds terrible. That sounds awful. Is that really how foxes sound? One of the animals, standing only a few feet away from you, is jumping and showcasing its tiny sharp teeth and a raccoon-like black mask on its little head. Oh no, poor little guy, I don't want to fight you. The animal with its thick brownish gray fur seems more stout than any red fox. Okay, I might fight you. The second loud creature jumps onto a table made of a halved trunk. So this is the table. Oh, this is where they are. It's this corner, not this one. Unlike the first one, it has brighter golden fur. It bends one of its forelegs, observing you with its dark eyes, not furious nor scared, rather sad and protective. Its growl turns into a miserable whine. The beasts are not even waist high, but their number may be an issue. There's yet another sound coming from behind you, and even more from the bushes nearby. Okay, I'm getting surrounded. Need to block the charge. Raise my hand and prepare myself to strike back. I kick one of them as quickly as I can. I'm gonna block because I think I'm being surrounded. I think I'm gonna be attacked from another side. You step back as the fox in front of you jumps at your chest. You punch it with your fists, crushing it into the ground. Before you decide to run after it, the golden creature catches your forearm with its teeth, unable to pierce through it. Its weight makes you lose focus, giving enough time to the third opponent, one that was sneaking behind you, I knew it, to bite your leg. It hurts, but the animal is wicked, lumbering on its paws. You manage to free yourself with a single kick. The dusk foxes spread. There are two small pups hidden behind the tree stumps, keeping their distance, piercing your ears with their yelps. Their protectors growl at you, warning you to stay away. Okay. It's part of my job to make these shelters safe for travelers. So I'm sorry, foxes. It hurts my heart, but I need you gone from here. I'll fight them. You reach for your axe as the beasts move to their new positions. The pups stay far behind, relying on their protectors. The weakened dust fox is near the bare tree, hoping to repeat its previous attack. The golden one remains in the corner, but is now jumping from seat to seat, as well as onto the tree stump, and keeps growling at you. The last one, which seems to be the bravest, remains in constant movement, pretending to attack you, then moving back. I need to rely on my gamson, focusing on protecting my legs and hands. With a few luck hits, I can scare them off. Yes. I don't want to kill them, I just want them gone from this shelter. I need to use all of my strength. I'll let them get close, ready to cut only a few times, but for good. I have to be faster than they are and trust my blade. I take the initiative, keep moving, cut whenever I have the chance. No, I want to scare them off. The brave fox is quick and nimble. You try to keep it at a distance, be unaware that another fox is approaching you from the back slowly. But then you get hit by the golden creature, which is clinging to your armored shoulder with its claws and reaching for your neck. Your fine armor stops the pain completely as you raise your arm. The fox's jaws is almost at the edge of its teeth, but you are conscious enough to grab it and throw it away, making it hit the wall with an unpleasant thud. You maintain your cold blood and swing your weapon at the fox that wants to bite your leg. It tries to dodge, but not quickly enough. You land a hit and the whining beast moves away, leaving a trail of blood behind it. The pain scares away the two stronger foxes, and the third one is unwilling to attack you without assistance. You raise your blade, and they await no longer. The stronger two run for their pups, grab them by the necks, and keeping their distance, carry them to the hole in the wall, near the bare tree. They get through it with confident jumps. Before the lumbering one disappears into the wilderness, it gives the pack's shelter one last glance. I'm sorry, foxes. It's gonna be tough for them to survive in the wilderness. Hurt. But it's my job to maintain the shelters free of animals and other creatures and monsters, so travelers can use them. I enter the ruined building. It's a simple chamber with no furniture that would explain its purpose. The fireplace is buried beneath the roof. You inspect the walls, made of hundreds of small rocks dressed with a chisel. The trash is heavy from the moisture. You put it with your boot, what starts a commotion among grey, disoriented bugs. Removing the rubble would take some effort, but for now it doesn't look like there's anything of value left behind. With enough wood, a group of builders could restore this hamlet in just a few days. I could hang around for a bit and clean up this mess. The task involves a lot of dirt, and you disturb whole armies of ants, worms, and bugs of all shapes and colors, which are feasting on wood, thatch, mushrooms, animal droppings, and one another. You prepare your gloves and some water. You throw smaller pieces of the roof over the wall and pull the larger ones through the main entrance. After an hour or so, you saw all there is to be found. The wood is beyond usage, but there are also no unpleasant surprises covered with dirt. If necessary, it could be easy to work with the remains. It would be easy to work with the remains. There were some scraps of bones, clothes, and leather among the rubble, as well as a broken club, but the only thing of value found are the 2 dragon bones dropped by someone under the wall. Wash the coins and put them in my pouch. Want to look around. What are you looking for? Nothing really. Food. There's nothing around that could be easily turned into a meal, at least not one edible for you. The mushrooms require long preparations and access to a fireplace and cooking instruments. While the bugs would need to be caught first, what's not an easy task, especially without a trap. The more convenient foods, such as the fruits or nuts, are already devoured or hidden by the dust, foxes, birds, and squirrels. Okay, I cleaned here. We can maintain this later. I'll leave the hamlet. Agro is observing the short grass jutting if grazing on it is worth the effort. Let's keep traveling. I need to clean myself. The trees on your right get sparser, replaced by yellow meadows and marshes. There are a few lonely birches around, still bearing the signs of taping, marked with knife cuts tied with cords. Some of them still carry wooden bezels, as if they were simply abandoned. Maybe last spring, maybe before that. A few of the trees are already dried out, and the winds manage to knock them down. As you get closer to the crossroads, the ground gets muddy. The beaten path avoids the wetlands as much as it can. The screeches and hisses mix with the buzzing of insects, as if you and as you reach a small pond, there are signs of blood on its bank. The air is moist and heavy, and has a heating of rotting meat to it. It may still be early, but it's better to avoid the bogs when night time approaches. Such places rarely have fine roads. The trees and bushes are sparse here, growing from the barren grassland. Some of them bear late summer fruits. A group of wayfarers is spread around the broken signpost and the abandoned cart. They are skinny but healthy and are standing upright. They are wearing humble, dim gambesons on top of their hemp tunics and pants, all of them worn, in some cases undyed, while others are dark green or brown. 4 of these individuals wear cloaks and are armed with spears, bows, and stone maces. On their necks, wrists, and belts, you spot small talismans, fangs, bones, wooden beads, leather straps. There's also the 5th figure, standing a bit in the back, with lowered shoulders. Unlike the others, they are hooded, and in such a manner that you doubt they can see anything other than their boots. Their clothes are shabby, torn, but your eyes mostly run to their club. A both as long as its owner is tall and as thick as a leg, resting with one end on the ground. You get closer and the person raises the weapon with just one arm, but another traveler gestures for them to stop, and they do so right away, freezing in place. I know from my previous gameplay of this game that is an undead from I believe White Marshes. The man behind the gesture doesn't approach you, just nods. Safe travels, stranger. It may be early, but bogs aren't safe. Better keep moving. You'll find an inn. You try to digest his thick accent. He's broad-shouldered with a large belly, but the scars on his face sculpt an image of someone who's earned their share of food with many skirmishes. He doesn't reach for his weapon and pushes one of his companions closer to the cart. She kneels by an empty box and looks inside it. The man observes you with little curiosity. Yeah, I'm just gonna be distance. I don't think I want to engage too much with them. He gives you a slightly deeper nod this time, then looks at his companions, who simply shrug and spread to take a look at the cart. All but the one with the bow. The bow? Who doesn't move an inch. I cannot say I have time to loaf. If questions, ask, but be quick, don't put us to sleep. I don't want to question about the cart, I don't think it's there. I don't want to question about that big guy, I don't think they're gonna be nice about it. Are you from around here? Very much so, and you are new to these roads. You know our home? Okay, if I say maybe, I'm kind of meta gaming here. But I'm gonna say maybe, because I know they are from the White Marshes. The White Marshes. He straightens up. True, it's there. He looks at the crossroad leading east. I thought it's already forgotten, but you have a clean ear. How can I reach White Marshes? It's not so hard if you have bones or food with you. Ride down the road, turn left, and take a gift to Thyrsus. Thyrsus? The warden of our peat fields. A lot of words that I don't know how to pronounce. He'll open the creepers for you. Seeing your look, he carries on. They're on the right path, one that will take you to the village. Anything dangerous between here and there? Water hides saurians, don't let your horse drink, just stay on the road all the time. One of the women chips in. And don't follow voices or lights. Weird beasts lure humans into death. And don't touch the creepers. Tell me about your village. It is home. He starts to play with his spears. As much as home the box can be. Beasts are smaller than in the woods, but water's the real threat. I'm not gonna ask about Asterion right away, they don't even know I'm a Roadwarden yet. Is it rough living in the wetlands? Not as rough living with robbers one side and that fake smiling rat that leads Howlers on the other. He says, to the delight of his group. You look at him, but he says nothing more. Yeah, I'm looking for a place to trade. I just want to keep the conversation going a little bit, and I don't want to check these options here, because I don't think they're gonna tell me much. We don't welcome many travelers, nor hope to see more of them, especially adventurers, and we need all the lumber we cut. We've herbs, I guess. What can you bring? What can I bring? Food. Yeah, not much. Furs and tusks. Not weapons. Odds and ends, trinkets, herbs, you know. He pretends to yawn. We pick and make what we need when the nights get long. Have no need for pebblers, at least since he thinks for a moment, then sighs. We only like iron, steel, bronze. Bring those, we welcome you. He then stretches out and gets closer to the signpost, using his spear as a walking stick. Well, stay safe, stranger. He raises his voice and addresses his companions. We wasted too much time on this froth. Time to get back. The others prepare their own weapons and join their guide. The one with the bow stays silent, until a gentle gesture commands them to follow. They keep up with the rest of the group, dragging the club behind themselves with remarkable strength. Okay, let's keep traveling. I think Old Págos is this direction. The forests are lush, but not too dark, and for most of the time you are surrounded by yellow meadows. The few foraging deer and boars keep their distance, and the birds are disinterested. Disinterested? Disinterested in your presence. Okay, maybe that's how you say that word. Singing cheerfully and preening their feathers. Sounds of an ongoing hunt reach you from the east, but none of the nearby creatures seem bothered. You see the tall hills in the south, but the road leads through a valley. There's a gentle plume of smoke coming from one of the mountains in the west. Doesn't look like a place on fire. Maybe there's a settlement in the mountains. The road leads to a gentle creek filled with the buzzing of flies, mosquitoes, and gnats. You don't spot any creatures among the tall metals, tree branches, or rock slopes. Seeing the shapeless dark vortex of wings, Agro snorts. You are currently on the northern bank. I ride forward with a blazing torch. I'll make some time, but I will wrap myself up with every piece of clothing I own. Let's try the torch. You move away from the creek, get on your feet, and unpack the tinderbox, the wooden stave, and the set of rags as well as the oil. After you assemble a torch, you sit down on the ground preparing the flints and the linen char cloth. Decades ago, before the southern invasion, people used fire strikes made of thick steel, but all you have is a cube-like piece. Oh yeah, I read this text every time I have to light the torch. It's not ideal, but it is good enough for a couple of sparks. Holding the fire, get back in the saddle, you swing your weapon left and right. There isn't as much smoke as you expected. Let's put it to test. Oh, yikes. Once you get closer to the fort, countless creatures beset you, filling your eyes, mouth. Ew, gross, gross, gross. Nose hitting you like a squishy, buzzing hail. You ride forward blindly, instantly forgetting about your preparations, trying to get out of here as fast as you can. But the insects are sticking with you for much longer than the smoke. Takes a few minutes for you to escape. The red marks on your skin starts to burn. You get down to put out the torch by rubbing it against the beaten track. Agro swishes its tail angrily as it gives you a reproachful look. Sorry, Agro, I thought that would work. Pinning its ear back to its head. Unless you find an easier way to protect yourself, the insect will keep slowing you down. You pass boot prints, cart tracks, pieces of rubbish, cut shrubs, moved stones, and trees felled with tools. The forest on your left and right is thick but not too dark. The monkeys and birds you spot are small, and the larger foraging creatures also keep their distance. The sound of a distant river is relaxingly monotonous. Looks like I can ride in peace for once. Agro's hooves thump loudly on the beaten track. The green bushes, shrubs, and trees prove that the soil here is fertile, yet the plants don't overgrow the road. These crossroads must be busy at times, maybe even patrolled. In the distant west, you see the mountain peaks dividing the lowlands from the ocean. The road east leads toward the hills, behind which there are unusually tall dark trees. The other paths are already known to you. You are surrounded by 4 signposts, all of which seem to be made from the same type of wood, now covered in moss and fungi. Yet the pictures and letters that cover the nailed boards are nothing alike. The western, north-south, okay. Let's see the western. It has 2 planks attached to a single post, both of them nailed with rusty steel. The lower sign is divided in 2 halves. The left edge is engraved with 4 simple shapes, squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. The other edge bears 2 engraved piles, one of them made of horizontal rectangles, the other of inexact circles. You don't recognize the letters between those 2 piles. 4 simple shapes, squares with roof-like, so there is a city that's a town. What are the lines with the circles? What do they represent? The upper plank is covered with two short words drawn in white paint, and right below them an engraved vertical rectangle with an hourglass inside it. Oh, an hourglass. This is the symbol of my faith. Where is my inventory? Winged hourglass. Let's go for the eastern one. The long plank attached with rusted iron nails is almost empty. It bears no words, only a single picture, painted with great care. It portrays a city-like gate, with a watchtower to its left and right, and a couple of small conifers growing beside and partially behind it. The northern ones, where I came from, is attached with nails made of pointing carved bones and divided into 3 sections covered with small engravings. The pants on the left has 3 large squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. No other pictures or words. The one in the middle has only 1 square, but also a simple horizontal symbol of a fish and a short word beneath it, which you don't recognize. Is the fishing village somewhere around here? The image on the right has 2 roofed squares, but also 2 other images which you recognize easily. A deer and a standing barrel. Oh, it's the tavern? Western, eastern, northern, southern should be Howler's Dell. It's covered with green, blue, and white paint that portrays simple squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. Each square has a large ladder inside it. Though you don't recognize them, nevertheless the pictures are not too odd. There are no other words or marks. The plank was attached with a set of wooden wedges. So I read all the signposts. The thicket doesn't help. You notice the remains of berries and pears, but most of them are already rotting, spread close to the wooden stools at the side of the road. The nearby creek is not impressively deep, but the beaver dam, for some reason, taller than you are, makes it wide and waters the surrounding soil. A few steps away from the southern signpost you find something sticking out of a shrub. It's a moist plank covered by fungi. The southern one, okay. You try to move it with a stick and a gloved hand. After a minute or so you confirm it's an abandoned sign covered with green ladders and colorful pictures of flowers and trees. Oh! Is the sign for this one? Because it's the southern one, right? There was one for Howler's Dell. And then I'm guessing it's for this one. The abandoned village. Take another look at the destroyed sign. It's covered with green ladders and colorful pictures of flowers and trees now blending in with the mold. Try to find where did the old sign used to be attached. The southern post is the only one with holes left by nails. I searched the area some more. After another few minutes of disturbing the local fauna, I apologize. You are sure that there is nothing more here to be found? Here's the heart of the forest. The gate with the towers. Old Págos, it's this way. So it's either this one or this one. Let's try this one. You cross a clean, shallow yet wide creek that runs south, then follow the uphill path squeezed between the hills and the lush forest. You spend a good couple of minutes passing a haunting meadow, filled with dozens, maybe 100 cut-down trees, now overgrown by bushes and grass. You can't think of another time when you've seen a clearing of such a size. Seems dangerous. If this goes on, the animals will join forces to strike down whoever is responsible for this. The locals are surely ambitious. I wonder how far they can push it. I feel like I will manifest this happening if I choose this option. But it's probably what's gonna happen. Once the clearing ends and turns into a corridor of trees and hills, you stop your horse. There's a monster in the middle of the road, reaching out with its long arms to grab and devour fruits and leaves from tree crowns, chewing them without haste. It's standing on its hind legs and leaning on a thick tail. As there isn't much hair on its gray skin, you see its impressive muscles. The beast is 3 times the size of a human, and while each move it makes is slow, its long claws and the ease with which it breaks one of the branches make you think that a single swing would be enough for it to pierce through your jacket, or, just as likely, that it would simply break your bones and send you into the air. Like most people, you know quite a bit about pebblers. Do I? Maybe the most infamous sources of nuisance for farmers across the Dragonwoods. It seems like the same text that it's here. Once they get used to an unfenced farm or a forest garden, getting rid of them can be a huge issue. There aren't many blades able to cut through their thick skin and bones, and a single mistake may put them into a furious charge, encouraging them to look for human dwellings which they can tear down in revenge. Oh, so maybe it was a pebbler that destroyed the old town south? The beast doesn't give you as much as a glance, but also doesn't move away. The best you can hope for is that it's going to walk away on its own. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later. I return to the Crossroads, I'm not gonna find that. So Old Págos is not this way. Maybe this way? The path gets greener and meanders between treacherous precipices. You ride slowly, passing by birds and ibexes, but in the distance you spot circling harpies, and below you a roaming mountain cat pursuing a mouflon. You take a sip from your water skin, the air here is a bit dry. Let's hope that the echo of hooves won't reach any larger beasts. The path leads you down again to a small, moist valley, impenetrable for a rider. The thicket is made of thorny shrubs, tall grasses, and the weak, fallen boughs that nourish mosses and mushrooms. You examine the remnants of the path covered with greenish puddles. Without the root and with a fresh layer of pebbles, it may still be restored. You look behind you. The road's clear, no ambushes so far. But if you hope to clear this place, it better be to do so soon. It will only get denser with the passage of days. I should take a break, so I'm not gonna... Can I keep moving? No, I need to clear. I'm here. Okay. I'm gonna do so, but I'm gonna get really tired. Yep, I need to eat. There's my inventory. Let me eat. I did some fruits. Okay. And I'm really dirty. I need to clean myself. Your muscles, not used to such tiring work, grow tired quickly. So you take a few short breaks, avoiding the thorns and dirty water. When it comes to pushing aside the bows, you breathe heavily, but you need only enough space to let your palfrey get through. Maybe the animals will start to roam this place again, beating the path. You reach a convenient mountain pass, with crags smoothed out by centuries of rain and wind. The sun warms up both the vegetation and the beaten road, and the only beasts you spot are loud rooks, glancing at you from the rocks and branches. Clearing the rock slide would take hours of work and a large group of people, while forcing Agro to climb up and down could break its legs. I dismount and look around. You climb up the rocks, having plenty of spots to rest your hands. Most of them won't move even an inch. As you get closer to the small dead tree, you notice something odd among the stones. Pieces of old fabric, completely covered with mold. Most likely, the remains of a tunic. Well, I thought Old Págos was this way. Maybe my memory is not serving me right. I'm not gonna go to the heart of the forest. There are only 4 hours left. Let's go back to Howler's Dell. Actually, let's go here, grab some fish, and maybe clean myself. Consider washing my shelf in the river. Okay, I got a little bit cleaner. Let's see if the fish trap had any luck. Unfortunately, it's still empty. Can I get to Howler's Dell? Yes, I can. Let's rest there. You approach the opening gate, then swiftly dismount. A guard approaches you, ready to take your mount to its stable. Hello, stranger. What news do you bring? We gossip for a bit. Why not? Even though Howler's Dell is a large village, the life here is slow. The curious locals gather around to take part in your conversation. Recently, the fresh cheese spoiled very quickly. Maybe there is a new evil spirit around. I enter the village. You spend a few minutes with Agro, but before you reach the square, someone clears their throat. You turn toward a man in his 50s with large hands, an elegant beard, and no hair. The stable master. He both introduces himself and answers an unspoken question. You frown, then realize that you indeed saw him before, and your palfrey was nicely taken care of during your first visit to the village. Or rather, I'm one when it is necessary, but I'd rather grind flour, he says with annoyance. You don't think your beast waters itself, brings itself fodder from a storehouse and cleans its own shit, nay? Takes time and hay. If this, he points at your companion, isn't going to work for it, you better have a pouch at hand. You look behind you. The quote-unquote stables are not much more than an open shed, with piles of planks, 2 donkeys, and a bunch of napping chickens. Would a dragon bone be enough? He nods. For one day, yay, that's fair. He looks around, rubbing his hands together. Here you go. I want my horse well taken care of. He nods with gratitude and throws the bone into a leaky bucket hanging from a nail, then grabs a wooden pitchfork. I let him work in peace. Go to the main square. It's getting dark and the inn is loud and crowded. The innkeeper lights up the rush lights. The workers drink and the guards are preparing for the night watch. If it wasn't for the presence of the creek and the uncanny lack of beggars, this place would feel like Hoflaven's marketplace. One of the tables is occupied by a dozen or so kids. None of them looks older than 12, and the youngest one, too dirty to resemble either a boy or a girl, is about 6. They are surrounded by their playthings, a mouflon on wheels, an elegant wooden sword, and a painted board covered with rocks, but they are bored and tired. Even though you only get a glimpse of them, the oldest girl notices your attention. She springs up to her feet and approaches you with a few skips. She is already pretty tall, dressed in a worn, subdued tunic, so long that it looks like a sack. It would be rude to ignore her, I smile and ask what she needs. Yeah? Let's not encourage her. I don't want to deal with children right now. I say I'm busy and walk by her. Let's not be rude. She puts her hands together and puts on a grimace of playful misery. Master or Roadwarden, hearing such an antiquated salutation makes it difficult for you to hide your smirk. We here. She points at her group. Bored, oh so bored. She puts the back of her hand on her forehead, letting out a deep sigh. Please, master, tell us a story or two, for each traveler sees with different eyes. What a very spoken kid. The last few words sounded like an echo of an old tale. Fine, make room for me at the table. The children gather around and ask you for a minute for them to gather their friends and siblings. After a bit of chaos, there's 20 young souls sitting closely to one another on benches, stools, and on the ground. The red-haired twins brought a blanket to lay down on. You have a shorter side of the table all to yourself. The older kids understand your lost look in an instant. They start to hush each other, which causes an even greater amount of noise. But in the end, there are dozens of eyes staring at you with a mixture of boredom and anticipation. Tell them about one of my adventures. Thought I'd spice it up with a couple of small lies. Why not? That's storytelling for you. The story takes quite a bit of time and at one point gets a bit cruel. The youngest kid covers their eyes, which doesn't block their hearing in any way. As you get to the end, the tension disappears. The older kids clap for a bit, keeping their dignity intact, while the younger ones start to laugh and argue loudly about the best part of your tale. For some reason, 2 of the girls start to wrestle, pretending to be 2 of the characters that you just portrayed. Seeing this, the adults decide to intervene. You stand up and the children do the same to show their respect. The girl that had previously talked with you thanks you for your time. I nod to her and walk away silently. And the trader is the one that I wanted to talk with. It's night time already. I wanna go to sleep. Do I have money? I still have some. Eric's also approaches the counter, welcoming you with a wide smile. I could use a room. Sure thing, he nods. My kids keep it cleaner than you'd find in the city. Just tell me when you are ready. Thanks. Let's go to sleep. Oh, 2 coins? Oh, that's a lot. A room with a comfy bed, a locked door, a lot of space. You also get a large breakfast, a wash tub with water and soap and cleaning for your shoes and underwear. Okay, fine. It's worth it. The sounds of rain wake you up briefly before you return to sleep. You think about your plans. Riding in the mud is difficult. Agro will have a tough time, especially on the unpaved grounds. It may be a good day to take a break at the inn. Your first sleep ends, but your usual 1-hour break is instantly disrupted by noise. You stand up, walk to the window, and see the reason for the commotion. A group of workers is just outside the inn, drinking and laughing. Eric's the innkeeper is also among them. You could join them, but if you do so, you won't get a good sleep tonight. And after such a long day, you may end up exhausted. I just want to rest. During your time in Havlavan, you learned how to ignore drunken crowds. You can relax and return to your routine. I sharpen my blade and go back to sleep. Okay, start of a new day. I'm gonna make a quick break to hydrate and stretch a little bit, and then I'm gonna do one more day. Be right back. Okay, I am back. Let's continue with a new day in the peninsula. Oh. Okay. You spend the night in peace in a clean bed with a tightly shut window and a warm blanket. In the morning, you find a stool placed by your bed covered with 2 boiled eggs, a cup of buttermilk, and some mufflon offals. Offal? I don't know what that is. Once you get dressed and go downstairs, a young boy who's covered in mud and speaks unusually loud and enthusiastically mentions that Agro has already been brushed and watered. You nod, but he runs outside without noticing it. The innkeeper is sitting near the door, from time to time carrying out another bowl with either stew or gruel. Thais is nowhere to be seen. I need to talk with the trader. Oh, he's not around. I don't need to talk with the mayor right now. I don't think I found any interesting information in my run through here. Still haven't found Old Págos. I thought it was here, but couldn't cross. I'll wait for the trader. You hear Akakio's voice. Here to see me. Just a minute. I usually start a bit later. The man walks by you and goes behind the counter, where he starts to unpack and inspect his wares. Speak with some young. About the potion. I've only found this box. I think the potion's within the box. He raises an eyebrow, takes the box from your hands and cuts the cords with the dagger. It's filled with rags wrapped around an earthenware bottle. It's small and closed with a tall wax seal, inside of which you see a thin stick. With a grin, he picks up the bottle gently, jiggles it, weights it in his hand and puts it on the counter. Great! Now let's hope my little girl will not get herself swallowed by a dragon. So we said 5 rings. Yep. He smiles and looks for the coins in a large pouch. Thanks, O bringer of good news. I take my reward. Anything else? I bring goods to sell, do I? Do I have goods to sell? I don't think so. I have an old blanket. A piece of raw hide you found at the northern road. That's basically all I have to sell. Let's see if he's gonna buy. He gestures for you to gather your things. This junk doesn't interest me. We're looking for what we can make by ourselves, like iron or enchanted items. I need to find iron, because he's the second person that keeps asking about iron. I pack my things. Oh yeah, I've been being bothered by Howlers. Anything to plug my ears? And you can just avoid them, I guess. With an raised eyebrow, he reaches for a yellow candle and plays with it with his long fingers. You know they eat plants, need meat. Shouldn't it be too dangerous for a warden with a mount? Lend me your axe. He cuts off a few chunks of wax, removes the wick, and gives them to you. Here, roll these in your hands, warm them up, make a shape you want. Okay, thank you. What do you have for sale? Nothing I can buy. Oh, I do need a lantern for the dungeon. It's gonna be expensive. But I do need it. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you. I'm not gonna talk with the mayor. Don't have any news for her. Let's talk to the priests. I don't think I I've talked to them yet. I can also... offer my services to the guards. Let's offer my services first, and then talk to the priests. Escorting the foragers. A group of workers is going to explore the forest garden, seeking wood and mushrooms. You ride ahead, looking up for threats. This task will take about half a day and may get dangerous. Okay, fine. Okay, I just got a little bit dirtier, but that's fine. Turns out you don't have much to do. You get your job done quickly and with little difficulty. Let's see the priests. You head south of the dead tree in the main square. Before you get to the second thatched building, a large man stands up from a bench and gets into your way. He's close to 50, taller than most people you've seen in your life, broad-shouldered. His hair and short beard are brown, matching his elegant woolen robe. A thick club is attached to his right wrist with a leather strap. He left his sandals by the sitting spot. Many want to speak with our guides and teachers, he speaks with a sullen, strong voice. But you're new welcome here, turn back, stranger. I'm your new Roadwarden, are you sure that no-so here needs my assistance? His harsh look softens. We can handle ourselves, if that changes, Elpis will summon you. So be it. Let's travel. I still want to find Old Págos. Should I try to see if the peddler is gone and this road is clear? Let's do that. The path is clear, in a way. The peddler is nowhere in sight, but the road is covered with leaves and broken branches. The only fruit-bearing trees are growing right on the sides of the road, surely planted here by humans. There are plenty of fruits and leaves the monster may chew on, so it may return any day now. If it craves what this place has to offer so much, I should just get rid of its food. It may be a tiresome task, but at least I'll gather some fruits for myself. Yeah, but if I gather the fruits, is it gonna attack the village? Because it doesn't have food anymore here, and it's gonna... oh no. I feel like that's probably something possible to happen. But I will gather some fruit. You prepare all your tools, especially your thick protective gloves, and tether aggro to one of the younger trees. It's not an easy task. You spend about 2 hours cutting down twigs, shaking off the fruits of the thinner branches, picking them by hand, or hitting them with a stick. Your rope helps you stay secure, and the first few minutes of climbing is closer to fun than work. The longer it takes, the more tired you become. You finally take a break to eat a couple of plums and apples, but the best ones you save for later, covering them with a blanket and putting it on the very top of your bundles. You are standing on a carpet of green, browns, reds, and purples. You drag some of the thicker branches to the side and to make riding forward easier, but the earthworms and boars are going to have a feast. Let's hope the peddler is picky enough to ignore all the mess on the ground. And I'm dirty again. Dirty and poor. That happened the first time I played the game also. I was dirty all the time and poor all the time. I barely had money. I don't know why I keep making choices that only make me dirtier and poorer. The corridor of pruned trees lead you to a steep ascent. Behind them grows a peaceful meadow, filled with flowers and crickets and the humming of a waterfall. On the beaten path you spot no footprints or wheel trails, but there's smoke on the horizon. I dismount. The pastures and fields are spread over an unnatural plateau. Humans must have been carving it in the hill for generations, covering it with soil brought here in buckets and wagons. Among the weeds and tall grasses you spot rotting tools and a tunic. The pasture is overgrowing, and so are the fields. Some of the oats are ready for harvest. Yeah, something's wrong. I prepare my axe. The locked gate's taller than a troll, and you can't imagine climbing up the massive wall. For a moment you follow the path to the edge of the cliff. The roaring ocean is more than 100 feet below you. You spot no one looking at you from the watchtower, no patrols or archers. The wall is occupied by black and blue birds of various types. You return to the gate and focus on the sounds. There are a few screaming ibexes, a young boy's crying. I knock on the gate with the handle of my weapon. The thudding scares away the birds. They call loudly, starting the cacophony of throats and flapping wings. After maybe a minute, you hear a bronze plate scratching against the wood as someone reveals the peephole. The strict female voice stops you from moving closer. Traveler, Old Págos is secluded, for it has been smitten by a deadly plague. Begone before you get sick. No, I do not want to get in. Do you need any help? I'm the new Roadwarden. No one can save us. You look into the young brown eyes that match the skin of the black-haired owner. While the woman looks like a southerner, she has a strong local accent. She follows you cautiously, without blinking, like a fighter awaiting a strike. Not from here in the monastery live masters of spells and potions, blessed people, guided by the Wraith themselves, and even they are powerless. You hear more footsteps gathering near the entrance. May them be blessed, for they look after our ill. A weak voice of an elder chips in. We thank ye, Warden, the woman continues. We can't know how many of us will see the winter. If you really want to help us, warn the other tribes. They wouldn't move a finger for us, but we ought to protect them. Can I ask a few questions while I'm here? Ask, but there's not much we can do for ye. We see no one, we travel nowhere. We were born on this hill and we'll die here. After a few breaths, her eyes get kinder. I'm Tertia. If ye bring any news, I'll take them to our council. Tell me about this illness. She glances at someone or something that stands to her right. It lasts a long time, even those who seem to avoid death remain weak for days. There are fevers, headaches, red faces, red eyes, and rash. Those whom we had to burn were sleeping and raving, unable to understand us, and got too weak to move or even drink. She looks down. Children and elderly suffer the most. Why don't you harvest your crops? Because they are all sick. That's why. I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. You can't tell anything from her eyes. Isn't he dead? What makes you think that? I'd say that about any traveler who disappeared in the wilds. Wardens may know the roads, but they are not above humans. Don't you know the saying? Wait 2 days for the lost, 10 for the wounded, 20 for the ill and mad. You don't wait for more. That's a pretty cool saying. So you were waiting for him? That's not much of a secret. She looks to her right, then at you again. Head far east to the Crossroads. You'll find a watchtower, an old building made of our stone. You notice the pride in her voice, but hardly used since the war. A friend wanted to turn it into a shelter. Hire guards, patrol the roads. He took our key and rode away. He was meant to meet with us again, trade for materials and tools. Never happened. Any idea who else could have such a key? I found keys. The limited access the iron makes padlocks a rare commodity outside of city walls. Burgers. Key to a secret passage. Oh no, okay. It's just the key I had be given by the traders, not the key that I... Before it was completed, the builders were spending the rainy days in the coast village in the far north, Gale Rocks. It's called, ask there. Don't you want to ask the other villages for help? There's no love between us and them. We don't share drinks, stories, or dances. If it weren't for marriages, our children would never see each other. And if it wasn't for trade, we could just as well live on a mountain peak. They need our stone, we need fishes and salt from Gale Rocks, game meats from creeks, and grain from Howler's Dell. But all of them are harpies, led by greed and lust. The same ills that wounded our grandparents. She hesitates and looks to her left. Still, the wicked souls of White Marshes are even more burrowed in shadows. Sounds like you hold a grudge against them. She takes a deep breath. Yet I won't spread any rumors. As much as it saddens me, they need us to survive, and we need them. And you're even stranger to us than they are. Okay, it's getting late. I'm gonna spread the news about Old Págos. Or actually, I'm gonna keep traveling 5 hours. I'm gonna try go to the mountain up there. Which way would you take if you were to travel to the watchtower? The northern route, most likely. There's more tribes there, but the eastern road is dangerous, no matter from which way you're going to enter it. But if you care about time, she hesitates, you could check on the gate, though opening it on your own may not be easy. It used to be that our guards were keeping it open for the travelers, but the last one that we sent away, Quintus, is either dead or seeking refuge in other village. Still, behind the gate you'll find a shortcut. It's a dangerous path, but your palfrey might be just fast enough to get it to the other end. You ask her what she can tell you about the gatekeeper, and she gives you a warm look. He may be not of the sharpest wits, but he's loyal to his duty and returns kindness with kindness, like we all should. Okay, it's time to keep traveling. You ascend a gentle hill with green thickets coating the valleys. The path is like an endless bridge built by the ancient tree-like giants. Or maybe by the pagan spellcasters. The higher you get, the fewer plants you see. Hit by a cold wind, you adjust your cloak. I ride slowly, sitting in the center of the saddle. Mountains are harsh for horses. You approach the raised drawbridge and observe the face of the mountain. The hooks holding the hourglass are as large as a person, displaying their devotion to the right proudly. It took tremendous wealth and labor. The rustling of leaves carries no songs or birds. Songs of birds, shouts of apes or whines of hunted creatures. The river attacks its bank with a fierce roar. You get off your palfrey. Oh, the river is down here. There's a waterfall here. Here's the drawbridge. The cave mouths are connected by paths, stairs, and bridges. You don't see any people, but there's smoke coming from one of the entrances, and you hear muffled thuds of a hammer. The gardens are weeded, the buildings firm. The green trees on the top of the mountain bear red and brown fruits. Two rounded sticks are tied with a rope to a nearby rock. You grab them and take a closer look. They are claves. I make a few firm hits and shout a greeting at anyone who shows up near the building. I know an order of truth when I see one. I make a few firm hits, then wait patiently. Yeah, that's the one. The echo of your hits cuts through the swashing stream. After a few minutes, two hooded figures leave a cave mouth at the top of the mountain and give you a long look from the edge of the cliff, then walk down the path with caution. It takes them a while to reach the building made of bricks, not logs, and covered with tiles instead of thatch. Little by little, the bridge gets looser. Then it hits the grass gently. The taller figure, now covered with shadows, invites you with a gesture. I lead Agro inside. The greeters take off their hoods. They wear brown, dark, simple, warm robes and robes instead of belts. They've no jewelry or ornaments, just small bags made of fabric on their shoulders. The larger shell belongs to a strong, barefoot man in his 50s. Despite having no weapon, his eyes are audacious and could belong to a muscle standing in the door of a harbor tavern. His wrinkles are subtle, but there are only a few tufts of gray hair left on his greasy head. His skin is pale, covered with liver spots, though at a closer look you realize a few of them are just stains left by ink. Salutations, traveler, and thank ye, he hesitates. His voice is hoarse, but sonorous. Thank thou for thy patience. This is the place of reflection and prayer. We shan't abandon our duties. He puts his bandaged hands on his stomach and bows. You are at Wraith's Haven, the last place of peace in the north. As long as thy tongue is clean of lies and thy hand brings no harm, thou wilt not be hurt. I look at the second one. The girl is about 14, with unsightly acne on her forehead and a robe that brushes the ground whenever she takes a step. Her black hair is tied into a humble ponytail. She observes your horse curiously, cocking her head to a side, but once she catches your look, she meets your eyes boldly, raising her chin as if to challenge you. Thy mount is free to help itself with hay and water. We wait outside. Thou canst stay here for now, but leave before the night. The plague is nearby, the struggle ahead. While they indeed leave the room, their trust only goes so far. They observe you through the open door. The building is a single storeroom, filled with crates and barrels, a stack of firewood, and another one of bricks, a pile of straw, a chest, 2 wheelbarrows, and finally the racks, shelves, tools, clothing, and utensils. The light comes from the open gates, accompanied by the sharp draft. I gather Agro near the water through and join the monks. The lack of walls make you feel exposed. A few pair of eyes observe you from the paths above you, while others either climb to the very top or approach the unmarked vegetable beds. Most of the dwellers wear hoods, and all of them wear similar worn robes. A chilling wind touches your neck. Not afraid of some wind. I'm not afraid of some ghosts. They keep their distance. The man greets you by raising his open palm, wrapped with bandages that disappear underneath his sleeve. His lips form something between a sneer and smile. What brings thee here? Art thou a go-between? The girl keeps an eye on your axe and occasionally glances at your boot, the one that hides a knife. I'm Evo, the new Roadwarden. Good, well. The road needs their wardens, the folks need their roads. But there are none behind this mountain, and we take care of the one that you've just crossed. Thou dost not need to bother. Thy services are not required. He gestures for you to wait. But where's the man with the red beard? There isn't enough work here for two of you. Asteria, I was hoping to find him here. I'm sorry to disappoint thee. He rubs a liver spot on his hand. But he hasn't been here in months. We rarely have visitors different than our friends from Old Págos. We don't invite the outside world, and we don't care much for it. Hast thou checked in Pelt of the North, on the southern road? If he's wounded, it's a safe shelter, I've heard. The girl scratches the ground with her boot, though it remains hidden underneath her robe. The man looks at her with amusement. Looks like the Sima here is eager to return to her duties. I'm Ailey. Ailey? Ailey? I'm gonna pronounce it Ailey. But I'll not shake thy hand. One of us could carry the plague in our flesh. Who can know, who can tell? What brings thee to our monastery? Through the heart of the woods. What can you tell me about Asteria? Let me think. He looks at the sky and clenches his fist around the strap of his bag. The first time he was here, we asked him to find us some iron in Gale Rocks. The second time he did bring us a few scraps but was wounded. A piece of flesh bitten away from his thigh. Said that a 100-legged worm had caught him off guard in a meadow. Instead of his pay, we offered him a potion. Tell me about Gale Rocks. He hesitates, but finally nods. Just some seaweed eaters. Their soil is barren, but the strongest of them spend their days on the boats, among the sharp rocks. Those who can't hunt for fish boil water to make salt. They trade with other villages, more than anyone in the peninsula, for crops, wood, and meat. He snorts. But they are weak folk, weak and angry, like a wolf beaten and kicked from a pup. Loud, ready to bite, but all it takes is for someone to raise their hand, then it jumps away in whimpers. He lets go of his bag. At least they follow Wright's teachings. Is there nothing you can do about the plague that has beset Old Págos? Well, his cough doesn't help his hoarse throat. We don't understand what makes it grow. We put it to use all the ingredients we found, brewed as many potions and balms as we could. And they worked for some afternoon. Then people once again fell ill. Who can tell where the sickness dwells? A powerful healer could get rid of it once and for all with a single spell, but no follower of the right in the north carries such talents. Let me know if there's something I can do. I'll pass it, I offered to the prelate. Thanks thee. Do you know anything interesting about the path leading through the heart of the woods? I used to, but like all places that belong to beasts, it shifts every year. The only reason why it still has trails at all is that creatures use our roads as their own game trail. Only a dimwit would try to cross it now. After you ask him if he knows any such person, he takes a deep breath. Well, last I've heard, Quintus, the gatekeeper from Old Págos, is missing or dead. He's a brute and an idiot. Can't understand jokes, can't stand weaklings. If ye, though, ever meet him, just smile and let him speak as much as he needs to shut up. I have some questions about the monastery. And what could those be? Does this place have a name? Depends on who thou askest. It's the largest temple on this side of Hag Hills, and the only one beside the sacred cave in Gale Rocks. The cat tried to jump and fell, didn't calculate right. Let me just help the cat get in the chair where he usually rests. Okay, cat, here. Go there. Okay. Okay, back to the game. The cat distracted me a little bit. Da-da, and the only one beside the secret cave in Gale Rocks. He points at the huge hourglass. Is it right summit, or the temple of Old Págos, or high caves, like they used to be for my nana? He rests his thumbs behind the rope on his waist. The tribes come and go, the names shift. For now, we all know what we mean by the monastery. What can you tell me about your order? How does one describe the air they swallow, the water they drink each day, the water they draw each day? His contemptuous yet playful smile makes it clear he doesn't seek your answer. I can tell thee it's not old, but older than thou, and that is monks work and pray. But it's not a place nor a congregation. Words don't reflect our purpose, for human tongue is meager and stupid, and so are our ears. He straightens up and puts on a more serious tone. We look for knowledge, knowing we'll not uncover the truth. We study herbs, mushrooms, rocks, and winds. Old Págos feeds us, and we take care of its orphans. He glances at the Sema. Heal its sick, write down his stories. We silence our thoughts, fix our past's wrongdoings, seek peace in understanding. I've seen and touched stuff I can't even name, and they were delightful. I now find no difference between what I do to keep my shell alive and what to fulfill the right's will. An old woman without her hood, who leans forward while walking, exits one of the caves and walks along the rock face, from time to time stopping in place to watch the garden. The scars on her face can't distort her kind smile. Like to learn some of your knowledge about the peninsula? No, he sighs. The order protects what it knows, and we seek no wealth. Why are you gathering knowledge if you ain't gonna share it? What is the point? You remind him of your trade and he responds with annoyance. Knowledge builds and destroys the cities. We, he points at two monks who are seeking snails among the garden patches, are responsible for what we bring from our journey. A blacksmith isn't judged by the depths of their swords, but they oughtn't sell them to scoundrels. Where you never tempt to do, if you believe that there is freedom and peace and understand the world, it seems strange that you wouldn't share what you know with other people. I don't want... Yeah, I agree. Why are you not sharing your knowledge? But I don't want to antagonize them. Too much. There are some souls we trust, the elders of Old Págos, the seekers from other monasteries. Such people of faith keep the good of the many above their greed. But even they don't need to know all. He glances at your axe and smirks. And sometimes we may make an exception for a trustworthy outsider. Tell me about your fate. He takes a deep breath, puts on the hood and closes his eyes. His voice, while still hoarse, becomes monotone, like a scribe reading a list of the dead. The right is the greatest of souls, the wall of light that protects humankind, the life after death. Those who follow their teachings will abandon their shells. To follow means to guard right's tribe and help it grow in strength and peace. To achieve his goal, one needs to learn and to accept the creation of its nature. This allows us to shape matter, souls, and pneuma without turning them against us. To be a monk means to find freedom in right's tablets, to abandon one's ambitions. I serve right's will, I let it build my salvation. I prepare the tribes for the end. He takes off the hood again. For the first time you see true gentleness in his eyes. May these words be carried with my blood. So be it. I follow his prayer, so be right's will. He grins. A fellow seeker. What sort of order has been guiding thee? Their scribes earn dragons by copying codices, but when they can't, they study pneuma. They have quite a library of spells that remove curses and move objects from a distance. They look for ways to make bronze without tin and work on devices that replace human muscles. They are a small bunch who live close to nature, looking for a new village every 2 decades or so. They help the tribes plant and alter the forest gardens. They want to answer the large questions that used to torment sages. There's only a few of them, but they handle all sorts of ceremonies and pray for everyone. It's a new congregation, you don't know it. They live among other folk and save their earnings to raise a new monastery. No. This one, a small bunch who live close to nature. He frowns. Traveling monks? I thought it was stuff of the past. The orders or truth may have many enemies, some of which wear the clothes of the knights. He rubs the fingers of his bare hand with his thumb. When a village falls, people fall. When an order falls, centuries fall. Brave, he concludes, but stupid. Well, maybe they'll survive and change the lives of dozens of people. He adjusts his robes. Change always comes. What thou wantest is the right kind of change. Do you need any help? I'm looking for a job. He puts his hands together and repeatedly taps his fingers. After a few breaths, he straightens up. No. You don't trust me enough. What do you know about the necromancers? He rubs the liver spots on his forehead with his bandaged hand, looking with one eye at his short companion. This and that. I heard I can find them in the northwest. He nods. Head back to the crossroads, then north, then right into the bogs. There you'll find White Marshes. The tribe used to forager and gather peat. Pet? I don't know how to pronounce that. But now it follows Orantius, their priest. Who knows, maybe he's the reason why so many travelers have disappeared on the roads. Well, maybe. The Seema scratches the ground with her boot, humming a tune. But Ailey tells her to shut up. He carries on with sudden anger. The story is as old as the rites tablets. Tribes look at monsters and ask themselves, how can we use them? Their pride pushes them into their own fall. They hurt the innocent, then vanish in flames, or awake as empty ones. Okay, that's all I'm gonna get from you, and it's getting late. I want to spread the news about Old Págos. So bye. Let's go to Howler's Dell. Oh, I can't reach Pelt of the North anymore. Howler's Dell it is. I wanted to go all the way to Howler's Dell, but I won't be able today. You ride through the open gate, then swiftly dismount. Some of the locals greet you politely, but they keep their distance. After you notice your own smell and the dirt on your clothes, you no longer wonder why. Head to the stables. How much money do I have? 3. It's enough for one night, and the stables. Stable master shows up soon after you step away from Agro. His lips are thinned and he gives a long glance towards the breach. Here we go. He nods with gratitude and throws the bone into a leaky bucket. I let him work in peace. I go to the main square. I look for Eric's. I want to go to sleep because I want to wake up cleaner before I talk to people. Like most people, you wake in the middle of almost every night. Before your second sleep comes, you spend an hour or two taking care of your belongings, shell, and soul. Some people spend this time with their friends, families, or lovers, but your routine is different. If you don't have to take care of essential tasks, I stretch my muscles, work out a bit. Time outside, observing stars, check on Agro, think about my dreams, check on Agro. You spend the night in peace, in a clean bed with a tightly shut window and a warm blanket. In the morning, you find a stool placed by your bed, covered with fresh rye bread, a sausage, a bowl of berries, and a mug of malty beer. Once you get dressed and go downstairs, a young boy who's covered in mud and speaks usually loud and enthusiastically mentions that, yeah, I read this text before. I ask the guard to look for the mare. The guard informs you that she needs to look for her, so you sit down on a bench and wait for what feels like an eternity. When Thais joins you, she apologizes for the wait, though her voice and eyes are harsh. I bring sad news from Old Págos, the village where it's stricken by a plague. For a few breaths, she doesn't even blink. So close to us? A plague? How? She adjusts her cape and calls a god with a gesture. Tell the others to gather by Ape Ale, she tells her, then looks back into your eyes. I'll pass them the news once we're done here. We have closed the gates, maybe keep strangers away. She starts to tap on her dear buckle. At least we can make some preparations thanks to you. Good wardening, she says with little conviction. But you should also speak with our druids, they may have more questions for you. The god returns and the mare sends her away again. Warn Elpis, she must speak with Evo soon. Haven't I asked her about the tree already? She straightens up and raises her chin. You mean Beholder, the god and spirit of our wetlands. Every fall we bring it our gifts, and in return it provides us with its blessed fruit, the flesh of the forest. She stares into your eyes. It's older than the oldest books and the oldest thoughts. The druids help us honor its sleep and show us how to ask for its help. Neither of these rituals, she scoffs, would be of use for you. Do you need my assistance? First I need to be sure you can handle yourself. Bring me some juicy rumors, won't you? And maybe talk with my neighbors. We could use a few coins or someone with a steady hand. Thank you for your time. I leave the square. I go to the druids. This time the tall druid gives you an encouraging nod. Even though he remains on a bench, he's huge. He would do well as a god at a city alehouse. I walk further south to the spot where the new building is being built. Oh, so it's here. You approach the building site. The stone foundations are finished, and the timber frame is joined together with a set of intriguing cuts, like a large toy. One day their walls will be whitewashed with limestone and turned into a prestigious shelter, unlike the houses made of logs and boards. The other buildings are surrounded by grass, flowers, and herbs. The turmoil of village life is drowned out by the sound of the creek, but the knocking of a hammer shatters this tranquility. The builders give you curious looks from above the log they are cutting. I walk past them. You are welcomed by 8 elders gathered in a semicircle, watching your steps closely. They are not as large as the workers, and their clothes are far from humble. Instead of hemp pants or tunics, they wear colorful robes and dresses made of wool. They vary in style, length, and embellishment, separating them from the outfits of monks. You spot belts and cords, sandals and closed shoes. One person is bald, one has silver hair long enough to cover her back like a cape. Most of the druids are clean and rested, though one is a bit of a sloven with uncombed hair, stained clothes and dusty feet. Also, unlike priests of Hovlavan, their hands are marked by scars, hard skin, old burns, and missing fingers. Still in silence, a woman with a staff steps forward. Her grey robe is decorated with a brown thread that portrays leaves, tree branches, and birds. She's over 50, but the youngest one of them all. Her back is straight, the grey hair only an inch long. She doesn't need a walking stick. Her weapon is smooth, longer than she's tall. Her blue eyes are vigilant and keenly observe your face, as if in search of venom in your nose and lips. Her lips are thin and small, formed into an austere line that shakes slightly, as if she's on the brink of a burst of anger. She says nothing. I'm honored to meet you. She closes her eyes and tilts her head to her left. You listen to the creak, the hammer, and to your own breath. Honored, pleased, or maybe curious. Her words are slow and soft, as if she stays in them. Curious. Her lips form a gentle smile. And so are we. If you're near like the other city folk and you're willing to be rather than change. She pauses and opens her eyes, which are now as shiny as the midday sky. We are curious to learn of the thoughts you bring. Thais thinks you should know about the plague that has fallen upon Old Págos. You tell her what you've learned at the village gates, making her lean on her staff, touching it with her cheek. We can need help with this tragedy. The people of Old Págos are near our friends, and we will need risk our lives for theirs. She turns toward the rest of her gathering. After their nods, she takes a deep breath. As she speaks, she looks at the ground. Travel south to the great healer who lives in a cave. Beyond the beholder, the spirit that guides you through the swamps. Only he may find a way. Thanks. Have you ever met Asterion? Nay. Seeing that you wait for more detailed answer, she taps her fingers on his staff. We had no reason to talk with him. Thais hopes to start negotiations with the Merchant Guild. What are your thoughts? She looks toward your axe and clamps her hand over her staff with new strength. We are new ones to tell our village how to act, or how to think. If they decide to follow their mayor, we'll follow. So, apparently, they're not all together. Interesting. I might be able to... I don't know if I need to incite one or both sides. She lowers her voice and her gaze is like a storm. When a bear enters your house, you do not scream at it, nor hold the door for it to leave. You wait, or throw it a fish. But if it heads to the bed of your child, you jump on its back. If you all have your own thief. For a single heartbeat, you see a red line in her eye. Yeah, for a while. You are wandering through the village. A group of laughing villagers is chasing after a runaway hog. You smell the pleasant aroma of ground herbs as well as freshly baked bread. You know what? I'm gonna try to go all the way back here. It's gonna take 4 hours. I want to stop at Pelt of the North. I want to stop in a few places, but I want to head for the dungeon because now I got the lantern. So yeah, let's travel. No, actually, I need some money. So I offer my services for the guards. I'll join a group of guards and druids in their search for useful herbs, ready to carry the elders on your pathway to safety, if needed. Okay, because I got no coins. I got a little bit dirtier, but that's fine. Now let's travel. Let's Pelt of... Oh no, let's check my fish trap. Consider washing myself in the river. I can't. Yay! I got fish. You pull the rope and see the two flopping fish inside. You prepare your axe, then open the lid and reach for a catch. You stun the animals one by one, with 2 careful blows in the top of their head, then finish them off with a knife, cutting underneath the gill plates. You spend another minute or 2 bleeding out the fish in the stream, then cover them with a waxed linen sheet. You should eat them soon before they spoil. Now Pelt of the North. Let's talk with the innkeeper first. The windows are open, and while there's a few guards eating and drinking, the hall is clean. The innkeeper is sitting behind the counter, contemplating an empty mug. Finally, he nods to you. Someone with coins shows up. Oh no, I don't have much coins. I bring sad news about Old Págos. He sighs and puts his muscled arm on his head, then asks you about the state of the village and the symptoms you know of. After a short conversation, he observes the counter. I was planning to get in touch with those stone cutters. Thank you for bringing me the news. Let's hope they can make it until spring. Do I have anything I can sell? I don't think so. That's all I need. I go outside. Let's talk with the guards. The guards greet you with polite nods and a casual hello. When Dalit gets closer to you with a smile, the brown boar follows her steps. What brings you to us? I show her the arrow. Oh, I'm at Elan. He says hi. She looks up, twirling her hair as she thinks. I'm sorry, who? Foggy's son. She gives you a beaming smile. Oh, so that's his name. His accent's so thick I kind of misheard it. Forgive me. How's he doing? You gossip about the man and his companion, and a couple of the hunters join your conversation, asking about the Eastern Road, the tavern, and traveling in general. A good couple of minutes is spent on discussing fashion in creeks. Some of the hunters regret not being used to wearing leathers and furs, while others are convinced that linen is more convenient. And if you're cold, just put on a cloak, says a woman with a bandage on her neck. After some time, the guards walk away, leaving you with Dalit and the napping boar. I show her the arrow I found. She returns it without hesitation. Nah, we get ours from the villages in the south and they don't use pheasant feathers. The locals ask too much for the arrows, and if they're filled with pneuma, as if they're filled with pneuma or something. Let's do a quick save and let's throw some axes. If you think you can handle it, we'll throw 8 times, so it's going to take us half an hour or so. 4 players, each one bets a coin. The winner takes all. Still in? How many hours left I have in the day? I have 8 hours. I think that might be enough to reach Foggy Lake if I don't stop anywhere else. Yeah, I'm ready when you are. Yay! I gained coins. Between the thudding of the axes, there's plenty of time for casual gossip. After getting the 4th point, the other players nod with respect. Quite a score, you hear from Dalit as she hands you your dragon bones. The other participants carry away the remaining planks. I walk away, I enter the inn, show me your wares. No, nothing interesting. Let's travel. 5 hours to get there. I have 8 hours. I can stop somewhere on the way. I'm gonna check on the outpost. Tulia welcomes you with a smile. Is everything alright? The camp is silent. The soldiers hold their mugs, but don't even chat, lowering their heads from exhaustion. They seem exhausted. How did you squad's mission? Do you have any idea what happened to the ruined village in the west? Nah, there were goblins around the walls, so we never went there. But I was told that the wrath of the herds crushed it. Maybe 10 years ago? Her companion agrees with a nod. If there were any survivors, they are surely gone by now. The heart of the woods. Oh, we were advised not to. Have you seen this huge gate in the west, made of rocks, very tall? We've met a god there named Quintus. A kind soul, but a bit slow. He almost begged us not to enter the woods, so we took the longer route. That's where all the settlements are anyway, her companion chips in. We didn't miss much. I see. Have you ever encountered bandits? She lets out a sad sigh. So there are other bandits in the woods after all. Her companion hits his forehead with his palm. This peninsula really hates us. We can't make a dent in its shell. Tulia puts a hand on his shoulder, then looks back at you. Thanks for telling us, Roadwarden. If I survive long enough to report someone, I'll be sure to mention it. Maybe I should learn more. Okay, thanks. Yeah, let's go for 5 hours. How many hours I have left? 7. I can stop somewhere. Where would I stop? The dolmen doesn't have anything else for me. The abandoned watchtower. The cabin. Let's see what's in the cabin. I didn't enter it because there were wolves around. The only tracks in sight belong to small critters. The cabin has no window, but a stubborn beast could easily burst in through the old hatch. The gust of wind doesn't move the door. A curious ibex observes you from the crack, but flees from your gaze. I check on the cabin. You tether aggro to the supporting beam. Its curious eyes are tracking the crickets that jump among the grass blades. You stretch your limbs, adjust your armor, and reach for the axe. Let's eavesdrop first. You sneak toward the door and crouch down. Maybe after a minute, a quiet rattle comes from the inside. Something similar to the sound of cracking knuckles. You peek inside and just barely see a small part of the dusty room. A large spider web spread among the knocked down furniture. I may need my crossbow. I don't think a crossbow... Against a spider, what's better, the axe or the crossbow? Okay, I might need my crossbow, because I can shoot the spider. So I don't need to get close to the web. You remove its protective case and plant the stirrup on the ground. You take a deep breath, pull the string until it locks, then load the quarrel. A spider looks at you from the center of the web. Its shell is larger than your head, and the thin legs are longer than your arms. Oh no, that's gross, that's gross. Its countless hair bends in with the walls. They're brown, gray, cream. What do you do? Not shit. I shoot. I don't shit. Well, I do, but not because of the spider. Not here, not now. I'm not afraid of the spider. You aim while the spider skitters off, shaking the tire web. You pull the trigger but fail to avoid the creature's spit. The sticky ooze hits your eyes, oh no, covering them with a glue cloth. The sack of flesh smacks the floor. It clicks in agony. Oh, at least I hit it. Your eyelids can't even blink. You drop the crossbow on the floor, then sit on the threshold blindly. I watch out for my eyes, but act quickly, harshly pulling the ooze. The saliva clings tightly to your skin. You rip it off, suffering after every pull, but the result comes quickly. You slow down when you get to the eyelids. You are grateful for your reflexes, at least you still have eyes. You get to see the light slowly, then the shapes. The thing turns out to be gray and white. You stand up and look around. The room is covered with a thick layer of dust. Getting through the web could be risky. A single thread won't stop you, but a bunch of them could grapple you for good. Oh, 3 hours. I drag the spider carcass away and throw into the forest. You put on your thick gloves and grab 4 spiders' legs at once. How many hours to get to? 1 hour. Okay. I still have time then. The corpse isn't heavy, so you drag it behind you. You reach the bushes at the edge of the road, then lift it up the entire creature. The more you shake it, the more distracting the twitches of its legs get. You send it into a tree trunk, it sinks into the thicket, causing a bit of a rustle among the dwellers. Someone could be interested in such a thick web. I spent an hour or so gathering it. Yeah. I still have 2 hours. Okay, I can get to the tavern. You bring a twig from the outside and use it as a spool. You don't have much practice, and wearing the gloves makes the necessary gestures even more awkward. From time to time the silk breaks, but it shouldn't be a problem for a tailor. It's a material for stitching and wouldn't be turned into a cloth anyway. You notice maybe a dozen defenseless spiderlings. They flee toward the exit, with their speed limited by their tiny legs. They're smaller than a finger. I trample them with my boot, because they might turn into the big one, and I don't want that. The chest hides a few old water skins and inedible stale rations. Among them, however, you find 2 quarrels for a crossbow. Yay! The bones have no obvious owner, but judging by their age and the lack of skull or human-like hands, you doubt they could be awoken by the fog. The boots, ragged pants, an old sticky tunic, and other scraps are cheap and hide no jewelry. The bowls and mugs are empty. I leave the building. Okay, let's go to Foggy Lake, because that's the end of the day. Once you get to the ground, Elan points out the old rawhide you're carrying by your saddle. Looking for a blanket, friend? You'll find one clean and all in creeks. This one will get smelly soon. The screeching birds are sitting on the logs of the palisade. Some of them observe you, but the group doesn't cease its squabbling. This place is messy, but quiet and warm. Foggy is kneeling by the hearth, removing ash and washing the cauldron. She welcomes you with a gentle nod. I do have things that I can sell, like the spider silk, some fish, the old blankets. But first, news from Old Págos. Listening to your tale, she rubs her forehead. Well, not what I was hoping to hear, love, but I'm glad you went there. Better warn the other settlements. Folks should know before they send their own messengers. It's going to be a rough few seasons for all of us. She pulls out a dragon bone from her pocket and tosses it in your direction. Here, good job. She steps toward the ajar door and looks at the lake. Some things I can... And I may be willing to buy them... Yeah, let's sell the fish. You know we are by the lake, eh? She laughs and gestures for you to take your catch away. There are fresh fish in creeks, salty ones in Gale Rocks. Maybe try it in the Ape Ale in Howlers, or in Pelt of the North. Well, it was in Pelt of the North, I could have sold them the fish. What do you have to sell? Fresh meals, iron scraps. Want none of those. Let's go to sleep then. It's been 5 days and I explored way more than I did in the first time I played. In the first 5 days of my first playthrough. As you prepare your belongings, you realize that the days are getting noticeably shorter. The closer you get to autumn, the less time you have before the beasts of the night leave their lairs. For now, it won't be that bad, but I better make sure to not waste too many hours. It's a calm, warm night. As your first sleep ends, you stretch out and prepare yourself for an active hour or two. It's time to take care of some things that must be done at least once every few days, though they are a bit more challenging than your nightly routine. It's time for my training. I practice cuts, stances, dodges, and steps, but also inspect every blade I own. Okay, I'm gonna save now. And I'm gonna end it for today. I explored way more, way faster, not way more. There are many things, more things that I explored in the first run. But now I'm going faster. Using my time more efficiently. Still have to go through the heart of the woods, white marshes, and Gale Rocks. And there's another one here that I forgot the name. Anyway, that's for next Tuesday. That's all from me for today. It's time to power down. Bye bye.